So first I took off the air filter, loosened all the bolts on the power steering pump, which there's 2 on the back there. There's 1 right here, and there's 1 way down underneath there, and there is 1 on this end here. Okay, after that I disconnected the negative, then I undid the bottom bolt on the alternator, which is right here, and now I'm going to do these 2 wires here, Papa, and take off the ground wire, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I'll just... Okay, I've got the alternator out. I'm going to unhook this red line and unhook this unit right here, the wiring unit, and then I should be able to pull that and hopefully don't lose anything. Also note the way in which the alternator is laying and the wire harness is going, so for reinstall later. Okay, so as you can see, I have the new alternator now, and I've just put it in the same spot, and I'm going to begin hooking up all the connections right there. Yeah, hopefully I'll get that all in the view, since it's a nice wide lens, and I've got my tools set up on the wagon here. The ones that I'm using from yesterday still on the Jeep, and I've got an 8-pack of Lucky, and I'm just going to continue installing the alternator on the 92 Jeep YJ. I figured since I basically rely on YouTube videos, I might as well do this myself while I'm doing this project. So here we go. I'm gonna just set the camera back down. Okay, that's recording. Just get my another glove on here, and I guess the last thing I took off, I think, was this wire. Okay, so let's see. So those 2 things are going to line up there. This is going to line up like that. So I guess I'll just take the nuts off. Hopefully. Okay, so I'll just take off this nut. Now, I don't usually use gloves, but this is one greasy mofo Jeep, and I hate getting my hands completely blackened with grease. So I'm just taking the nuts off this new alternator. Now when I called around to get an alternator, Lordco said $240. Another place said $160, but then I found Max Auto Electric downtown, and he had one for $120. So that just shows you that when you're doing something like this, you really have to call around to a few different parts stores, because, you know, I could have easily paid another, you know, $120 more than I did for this part. And yeah, I've had a few experiences like that. So just gonna go ahead and tighten this down. Not super duper tight, but just snug it up fairly tight. Okay. And just go ahead and line this piece up right here. Oh yeah, take that nut off there. And line all those up. Gotta line up 4 guys right on that, and I'll just put that nut right back on that I just took off. Difficult to get it in there. I'll just do that finger tight. Okay. And I'm just doing these just finger tight to get them on there. It's a rather dark cloud going over right now, so I hope that doesn't start to rain on me or I'll have to shut it down. Do this one a little tighter. Then I'll go back around and tighten them all right up once I got them all on there. These little guys I'm going to be extra careful with because I do not want to drop one of those guys in the grass. I'm trying to look for it. Okay, put those in there. Go ahead and snug those guys up. Now, in the interest of saving battery, I'm just going to go ahead, snug these 4 guys up, and then I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, I've got that all snugged up on the back of the alternator, and I'm just going to go ahead and that should do. Back where it was. And as the rain cloud passes overhead, I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Now, I didn't end up taking this green wire off of there where I was looking at earlier, but I just left it on the harness, so left the whole harness on there actually. So I'm just going to go ahead and maneuver this spacer here, right here. It's a little too small for my liking. I'm just going to give it a little tap with my hammer. I'm just going to go ahead and give this a little doer. You know, hopefully that's not wrecking the alternator, banging it, I don't know. But this is a do-it-yourself install.
You break it, we fix it.
Well, you have to give that one more little tap.
You break it, we fix it.
You break it, we fix it? Is that our motto?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Grab my bolt. You know, this is the kind of stuff you gotta make up on the fly. Put that bolt in there. Go ahead and line up my bottom bolt and check that in. Now, this is a stationary alternator and this Jeep's not adjustable. To adjust the tension on the serpentine belt, we're going to go over to the power steering pump side. That's where we adjust the tension for the belt. So here's the serpentine belt. Oh, I guess I could have put that around there, couldn't I? So there's the boy. Okay. So, you know, whatever.
You break it, we fix it.
You break it, we fix it. I'll take that bottom bolt back out so I can. Now, sorry about you can't see this, so I'm just gonna let that alternator fall there. Put the serpentine belt over it, and I'll show you in just a second what I'm talking about. Just as soon as I get this bottom bolt back in a little bit. Okay. So now I've got the new alternator in place there. Wires are all good coming through here. I'll harness that up later. Got my 2 bolts in, top and bottom, and the serpentine belt back onto the alternator, and I'll tighten that up over here at the power steering pump after. So now I'm going to just go ahead and tighten up the bottom alternator bolt and the top bolt, and then maybe I'll come back and show you when I put the wiring harness back together. So just snugging up these 2 bolts here. Thought I'd just include this shot since moving the ratchet is just so satisfying. So the bottom one doesn't have a nut, it just screws right into the frame, and the top one actually has a nut. So okay, just snug that up tight and then get right back. Okay, I've got that all snugged up, and now I'm just going to take my wiring harness and click it back together. Like that. And then take the red one, just go straight in like that, and now I can put the ground wire back on, which I believe is running under here. Try and keep all my wires out of the way of other things. So just put that nut back on there. And that looks good. Go ahead and snug that up. And we're making good progress here. This has taken about, I don't know, 15 minutes. Okay, just snug that up nice. And okay, let's just have a look. We've got red wires on there. All that is all on there. Good. Alternator nuts are tight. Serpentine belt is on there. And actually, not too bad, but we'll tighten that up. Electrical connectors back in. Ground wire. And, well, I'm only on my first beer still. Okay, we'll move over to this side now. To the power steering unit here that I've got all loosened up, and I'm just going to tighten that up and tighten the belt up. And keep going. Okay, so moving over here now. What I'm going to do is just put this piece of steel in here a little bit. Just enough that I can pull on that, put some pressure on that belt, and then I'll start tightening this up. I'm using the GoPro Hero 3 Plus camera to film this, and hopefully with the wide lens I'm getting these angles. Love this camera, it's a great camera. Got it on eBay on sale, $300. and it works great. Love it. Okay, so that belt is on there. I'm just gonna check the tension over on this side by the alternator. So, whoopsie. Take a look at that. So there should just be about you should be able to push it about 1/2 inch. So that's about, I'd say that's about 1/2 inch. That's about right on. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish tightening up the power steering unit here over here. And man, some of these nuts in this thing are hard to get to. So make sure you have your extension. Okay, I've got my lovely, beautiful wife Jenny filming for this last part. Come here and have a look at this. I want to show you this one bolt here. If you can look down here, I want you to see where I'm pointing is way underneath of the power steering pulley. Down at the very bottom there, there's a bolt or a nut or whatever, and it's pretty hard to see. You have to feel around, but so that's the hard one to get at, to loosen this thing and tighten it. That's the one that you can't really see. You just have to feel around for it. So I'll just snug that up. That was the last one there. Okay. You want to move around to the front there, Jenny? Okay, that's all in there. That's tightened up. So I'm going to just grab the air filter intake. Put that back on there. Snap her down. Jen, if you can just move in and get close-ups of what I'm doing, that's the most helpful thing. And then put the hoses back onto there. There's 2 hoses. Okay. And now, almost done. Just gotta look over to this side here and reconnect the negative battery terminal. On there. Go ahead and tighten that down. Now, you didn't see this, but I've already changed my gloves about 15 times since I started this operation, and the battery on the GoPro died, so now I'm filming on the iPad. Anyway, battery's tightened. Ground wire, alternator's in there, everything is tight on the alternator, and with the connections, the belt is fairly tight. It moves about 1/2 inch or so. I'm just going to double check the bolts on the power steering pump to make sure that it's all tight.
With the weapons.
And let's just go ready to fire it up. Anyway, that's all tight there.
Yep.
One underneath. Okay. Okay, that's all tight. Air filter. And that's it. That took about 20 minutes, 2 beers. Maybe half an hour and 2 beers. And I'm just going to clear my tools away here. Finish my second beer. And then we'll fire it up and make sure it's running correctly. And that is how to change the alternator on the 92 Jeep YJ. Okay, ready to start it up and see if everything's working properly. Stand back, boy. Let's have a look here. I'll take that. Alternator's staying good. so that is the alternator reinstall on the 92 Jeep YJ, and that took about 20 minutes. And you know, at the shop, they probably would have charged $250, $300 to do that. So well worth it to do it yourself. Very easy. And if you have any questions, just post them down below on this video, and I'll help you out as best I can. Okay, thanks again for watching. Okay, runs like new. Now, stay with me and subscribe to the channel. The next thing I'm going to be doing is changing the bushings under here. I saw some... Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is replacing this bushing right here on the... I don't know what sway bar. I'm not sure what that piece is called, but that bushing is completely worn right out. And if you have a 92 Jeep YJ, subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to be hanging on to this Jeep for a while and keeping it fixed up and working on it, so you know, we can work on them together. Thanks again for watching.